Hi, let's talk about open permits and certain violations that may need to be fixed and what that means to your buyer if you're working as a buyer agent. The Florida FAR Sale and Purchase Agreement basically states that if the buyer during their inspection finds that there are open permits, then the seller is going to assist but not pay in having those permits closed out. So what does that mean in plain English? And I'm not talking about a as-is contract, which is a contract that's being used in 95% of all transactions. With an as-is contract, the buyer has a right to cancel during the inspection period. Now, during that inspection period, whether it's 7 days, 10 days, 14 days, that is a time frame during which the buyer needs to also search for open permits. And if the buyer finds an open permit during that inspection, not 2 weeks later, but during the inspection, then the seller has to assist in helping the buyer get these permits closed out. But the seller is not responsible for any expenses. So if another contractor has to be paid to, take care of the issue, and it might cost a few $1,000s, you never know, then the buyer is going to have to pay for that. The seller is not going to pay for that. And so the buyer needs to know what's the issue here and what will it take to get the permit closed out, and then decide if they want to cancel the contract or not. Now, when it comes to open permits, you're going to run into a few different scenarios. One scenario is, and this happens all the time, where somebody got a new roof, they got a new AC, and the company, for whatever reason, just was, tardy, and they forgot to close out the permit. Happens all the time, and the company hopefully is still around. You can reach out to them, and of course, they're going to take care of it, and they're going to close out the permits, and it's done. So that's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that, a company opened up the permits. The company now is no longer in business. There's never been an inspection done. And obviously the company that's no longer in business can't work to get these permits closed out. So now you have to hire a new contractor that is going to then reopen the permits, have the inspections done, and hopefully everything is fine. If the company did a lousy job, then things may need to be changed, repairs may need to be made, things may need to be redone in order to get the sign off and then have the permit closed out. During times of disaster, for example, here in Southwest Florida, when we had Hurricane Charlie, there were a lot of companies that just moved in, did insurance work, opened permits, did shoddy work, never got the inspection done, never would have passed the inspection if they had it done. And then, the company went out of business a couple of years later, and people then find out 5 years later when they try to sell their home that, oops, there's an open permit. And now they have to hire someone, and they find out that this, that, and the other thing has to be, redone in order to pass the inspection and close the permit out. So you want to be mindful of that. And as a real estate professional, most of the time, at least here in Florida, the permit search is done as part of the local lien search, and the local lien search usually takes longer than the inspection period. It takes longer than to do a title search or a homeowner's inspection. So my suggestion to you is that you're very mindful of a permit search, and that either you get an extension to inspection period with respect to the permit search, or you push your title company to really push the lien search provider to get the permit search ahead of time, or you go yourself and verify that there are no open permits. So you can go to the building department, and you want to go, if you're in a municipality, you want to go both to the city and to the county, just in case, because you may think that the permit was pulled with the city, but it was pulled with the county instead. So you want to search both city and county building department records and see if there are any permits for that property, and if anything is still open. And if it is, then of course it is a flag, and you want to talk to your buyer about that. Again, it's the buyer's responsibility to do these things. The buyer is being put on notice with the contract, but as you know yourself, most buyers and many agents even never read the contract, which is why I decided to do this video. So keep an eye on that. Permits are very, very important, especially for single family homes. And you want to make sure that you're not in a situation where you're dealing with a worst case scenario and the buyer has passed the inspection period, and now they either lose their deposit if they walk, or they're going to have to spend $2,000, $5,000, whatever, to close out a permit. And if they're getting financing, that permit issue may be a holdup to the closing because the lender may or may not accept the hold harmless and close on the transaction when there is an open permit issue. So again, open permits, you want to be mindful of that. I know this is a bit longer than usual, but I hope you found this helpful. As always, feel free to reach out to me directly, direct message me for any questions at all. My name is Thomas Heimann with Realty Partners, and thank you for taking the time.